Nobody ever fished Bilgewater Bay at night. Piet knew why, of course. He'd known these waters all his life. The currents were treacherous. Hole-splitting rocks lurked just below the surface, and the seabed was littered with the wrecks of ships whose captains had not accorded the sea its proper respect. But, more importantly, everyone knew the spirits of those drowned at sea were lonely and wanted others to join them. Piet knew all this, but still needed to feed his family. With Captain Jeremiah's ship burned to cinders in the crossfire between Gangplank and Misfortune's war, Piet had no work and no coin to pay for food. He'd drunk half a bottle of Scuttler's Scrumpy just to pluck up the courage to push his boat out into the water tonight. And the prospect of sharing a drink with the giant Freljordian helped steady his nerves. Piet took another slug from the bottle, tugging the scruff of hair on his chin, then pouring a measure over the side in honour to the bearded lady. Warmed and numbed by the liquor, Piet rowed past the warning buoys and their dead birds until he came to a stretch of ocean where he'd had some luck the previous night. Jeremiah had always said he had a nose for where the fish were biting, and he had a feeling they'd gathered where the remains of the dead pool drifted. Piet pulled in the oars and stowed them before finishing off the scrumpy. Then, making sure to leave a last mouthful in the bottle, he tossed it out to sea. With tired, drink-addled fingers, he baited his hooks with grubs he'd scooped from a dead man's eye and tied his lines to the gunwale cleats. He closed his eyes and bent over the side of the boat, placing both hands in the water. "Naga Kaboros," he said, hoping that using the native's name for the bearded lady might grant him a bit of luck. "I ain't asking for much. Please help this poor fisherman, and spare him a few morsels from your larder. Watch over me and keep me safe. And if I die in your embrace, keep me down among the dead men." Piet opened his eyes. A pale face stared back at him, wavering just below the surface. It shimmered with cold, lifeless light. He cried out and jerked back into his boat. One by one, his fishing lines were pulled taut. They spun his boat around as thin coils of mist rose from the water. The mist thickened swiftly, and soon the light from Bilgewater's cliffs was lost to the darkness as cold, dark fog rolled in from the sea. A cacophony of once-dead birds squawked from their warning markers, followed by the clamour of bells as their convulsing bodies swung the buoys back and forth. The black mist. Piet scrambled for his oars, fumbling in terror to fit them to the rowlocks. The mist was numbingly cold, and lines of necrotic black threaded his skin as it touched. He wept as the grave's chill frosted his spine. "Bearded lady, mother below, Naga Kaboros," he sobbed. "Please guide me home. Please, I beg." Piet never finished his plea. A pair of hook-headed chains erupted from his chest. Droplets of vividly red blood streamed from their tips. A third hook punched through his belly, another his throat. A fifth and sixth gouged his palms and pulled them down hard, pinning Piet to his boat. Agony surged through him, and he screamed as a figure of purest malice emerged from the black mist. Emerald fire haloed his horned skull, and sockets gouged by vengeful spirits burned as they savoured his pain. The dead spirit was robed in ancient black vestments, and rusted keys scraped at its side. A chained corpse lantern moaned and swayed with monstrous appetite from its clenched fist. The glass of the infernal lantern opened to receive him, and Piet felt his spirit tear loose from the warmth of his flesh. The wails of tortured souls shrieked from its depths, maddened by their unending purgatory. Piet fought to keep his spirit within his body, but a spectral blade scythed, and his time in this world was ended as the glass of the lantern snapped shut.
A wretched soul you are,
said the reaper of his life, its voice like gravel on a tombstone.
but only the first to be claimed by Thresh this night.
The black mist rippled, and the silhouettes of malefic spirits, howling wraiths, and ghostly horsemen swelled within. The darkness boiled across the sea and swept onto land, and the lights in Bilgewater started to go out.